Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, suitably accoutered to talk about the most sublime orchestral work ever written, the piece that one cannot mention without dressing for the occasion. I'm talking about the reference recording of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And this is a tricky one because, well, everyone has their favorite ninths, but maybe it's best to rule out a few of them. I'm not going to do non-stereo recordings, first of all, because I think the piece really requires really fine sound. I mean, in order for there to be a reference recording, you've got to have a reference recording that's glorious sonically, or at least tolerable sonically. And that really makes me happy because it makes my life a lot easier. I get to rule out all the Furtwängler recordings. Not that he didn't do a great ninth, but his ninth was never the reference, and particularly not the Nazi ninth from 1944, which normal people don't even really know about. That's for Furtwängler cultists and followers of, well, never mind that. I'm not going to get accusatory here. Seriously, we're putting him to one side, because that's where cults live. The reference recording for Beethoven's Ninth has to combine excellence in performance, transcendental excellence in performance, with, yes, dear? Oh, it's so sweet of you. Wait a minute. Before we do the reference recording for Beethoven's Ninth, I have to throw the cat toy. Beethoven would understand, I'm sure. Ready? Go get it. There we go. Now she's happy. So, you see, you have to have really, really wonderful performance, really, really fine sound, and critical consensus, popular consensus, as such can be ascertained and understood by little old myself over the past 40 or 50 years of doing this. And so there's a story here. There really is a story, because Beethoven's Ninth is one of those pieces that lots of conductors like to sort of, make a statement with. Bernstein, remember when the Berlin Wall came down and he did the falling wall performance, which is nobody's idea of a reference recording, but it was a historical moment. So there is a dimension to the work which is more than merely musical or only musical, although the musical one is the most important one. And there was Schulte who made a big deal about doing Beethoven's Ninth multiple times. And really, most of the people who do it multiple times kind of stick themselves in the foot, because their performances are seldom as great every time around. And so they dilute their own potential by doing it that way. One conductor who was smart enough, who did the same stuff a billion times, was Günter Wand, and he only did the ninth once. And when he was asked why he only did the ninth once, he said, because I can't improve on it. And he was right. And his ninth is my personal, however, choice in Beethoven's Ninth. It's an extraordinary performance, fabulously well recorded, but it's not well known. It really isn't. And it was, relatively speaking, as far as ninths go, fairly recent as well. So it didn't have the time to sink into the public's musical awareness, and it didn't stay in print. Well, it's in print in his symphony box, but it wasn't promoted the way it really needed to be promoted. And so that's a problem. That's really a problem. And I feel bad about it, but that's the way it is. What have we got here, huh? Come here. Here's Mildred. Mildred, who does not like to be picked up, so I can't keep her for long. Hi, say hi. Here, go over here. I know. She likes to play. She likes to play fetch. And so when I'm here, we have these little things. Ready? Go for it. There we go. So anyway, Günter Wand didn't quite get the attention he deserved. I know that playing fetch with the cat while I'm accoutered talking about the most sublime piece of orchestral music in the history of Western civilization may seem a little disrespectful, but like I said, you'll have to indulge me a little bit. Right, Mildred? Okay. Thank you, sweetie. Anyway, so now here's the story, right? Here's the story. There are plenty of fine Beethoven ninths swimming around, and a lot of pretty bad ones, including Furtwängler's Nazi ninth, which is one of the worst ever. Oh, yeah. But the reference recording is this one. Ferenc Fricsay with the Berlin Philharmonic. Yes, you get the Berlin Philharmonic on Deutsche Grammophon. This was the first stereo ninth, or their first stereo ninth. It was a first. It's also coupled with a wonderful Egmont overture, by the way. It was recorded in 1958. So here it was, 1958. An amazing Beethoven Ninth in first-class sonics, really good sound. It held up beautifully well from, what was it, St. Hedwig's Cathedral or someplace like that, or, well, that's the choir, but, it was recorded not in the Philharmonic, which had lousy acoustics, and thereby hangs a tale, because 5 years after this, in 1963, old Herbert von Karajan decamped from EMI in the Philharmonia, whence he had done a Beethoven cycle, and remade all the Beethoven symphonies with the Berlin Philharmonic, including the ninth. And he wanted his ninth to be the reference recording. Oh, he wanted it so badly. He really did. He recorded it 3 times for Deutsche Grammophon. Again in 1977, which was actually better than his 63, and then again in digital. And there was videos too. I mean, he was endlessly desperate to be the German standard Beethoven conductor, and the ninth was the capstone of all of those things. And Karajan's Beethoven's ninth was very good. I mean, he did a really fine Beethoven's ninth. The only thing wrong with his Beethoven ninth really was that he hated choirs because they took attention away from him and his handling of the orchestra. He never liked the chorus. The poor man, I feel bad for him, but he didn't. And so the choral singing usually left something to be desired on those recordings. It was not terrible. He couldn't get rid of them completely, obviously, and so he had to balance them somehow. And it's better than in a lot of his other things that had choruses in them. But that was sort of a weak spot with him. Otherwise, they were fine performances of the ninth. He also militating against his ninth being the reference recording was the fact that he kept recording it over and over and over again. So they could flog his earlier one, then they flogged his middle one, then they flogged his later ones. It was always flogging. And when you flog too much, there's value in scarcity. Meanwhile, there was poor old Ferenc Fricsay just with his individual ninth from 1958. And as you can see, it's on the DG Original series. We never forgot about it. This was the recording that Kubrick used in A Clockwork Orange. Actually, it wasn't Karajan, it was Fricsay. Yeah, so this thing, it never fell out of public favor. It never disappeared or vanished entirely from the catalog. It was reissued in various lower priced series and various things. In fact, I think I have one of those lower price reissues sitting around here. Is this it up here? Is this one of them? Yeah, well, this was the series. I don't have all of them sitting right there, but it was this thing. These inexpensive French duos had all the Fricsay Beethovens, and then there was a Fricsay Beethoven box in Japan. Well, let me just put that back because I'll never remember where it came from if I don't. So this thing had the distribution, it had the cachet, it had the Berlin Philharmonic, even when people started forgetting who Fricsay was. And then, of course, the Fricsay boxes came out recently and reminded us just how great this version of Beethoven's Ninth really is. And it is great. It is unbelievably great. It has a powerful first movement, a really lively and delicious account of the scherzo, a totally transcendental performance of the adagio. Furtwängler should have taken a lesson from this guy. You want to hear transcendental adagio with gorgeous singing melodies and that humane quality that Fricsay and these Hungarian conductors somehow managed to convey through the string section. It's incredible. It's 18 minutes long. It's on the slow side, but it is glorious. And then a thrillingly sung finale with Irmgard Seefried, Maureen Forrester, Ernst Haefliger, and Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau, all in superb voice. It is the Beethoven's Ninth of Reference. And while there have been, like I said, other really fine ones, this one has held its own all these years as the performance to which others may be compared. Yes, it has. And poor old Karajan with his 4 versions of the Ninth could only look on and weep. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.